destruction everywhere. Following a volcanic eruption and an earthquake, the city is in chaos. The government is urging people to evacuate peacefully. People are really frustrated and wondering. Just a few days ago, an underwater earthquake and the eruption of Mount Fuji resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of people. Now, unexpectedly, they too must evacuate. One woman is particularly worried because she left in such a hurry that she didn't bring anything. She plans to buy supplies in Zhongnan City. However, a man next to her asks if she hasn't seen the news, explaining that the goods in the Walmart and Ali warehouses in Zhongnan City have all been moved. Another man, upon hearing this, replies that this is old news. Today, Dongming Lake in Xincheng dried up, and the Derundong warehouse was emptied too. Shocked by this revelation, the woman realizes the total value of these supplies is probably in the hundreds of billions. Suddenly, she hears a voice saying that the total value of these supplies should actually be in the tens of trillions. He is our protagonist, who explains that the loss of supplies and various natural disasters are just the surface. He urges them to open their eyes and see that the end of the world is coming. Upon hearing this, the woman asks our protagonist if he is joking. The man sitting with him starts laughing at our protagonist, asking if he is kidding. If it's really the end of the world, I'm actually looking forward to it. That man said all living beings are equal. Our protagonist does not look happy. Because even at the end of the world, there is no equality for all living beings. He has personally experienced this. In his previous life, he was just an ordinary delivery man. Then, the apocalypse had descended due to the abnormal release of solar energy, causing atmospheric temperatures to rise sharply and frequent crustal movements. Monsters hidden underground also emerged. The whole world changed. A new world. A new order. In that world of extreme scarcity, even a packet of instant noodles or a slice of ham sausage was luxurious. To get a ham, you have to give up everything. Our protagonist was reborn a month before the apocalypse. A beautiful lady approached him, expressing her fear and asking for comfort. However, our protagonist, being a Sigma male, had more important things to do. In the apocalypse, what's most important? Supplies. In his last life, he wasted time searching for supplies. But this time, he must be prepared in advance. His boss was furious because he was 21 seconds late for work and deducted half a day's salary. Chen asked for forgiveness as he went into the warehouse. However, our protagonist didn't care. In his last life, when the apocalypse came, the boss ran away in advance and his annual salary went down the drain. So, he decided to take these supplies as compensation for himself. He opened his dimensional inventory to store all the supplies. Suddenly, a system notification popped up, detecting rice, cooking oil, meat, automatically storing. This is his power spatial ability. As long as he unfolds this ability, he can put everything around him into a super large cubic space with dimensions of 10,000 meters in length, width, and height, according to his will. This provides great convenience for obtaining supplies at no cost. Relying on this ability, he dried up 2 freshwater lakes and plundered several cities destined to be destroyed in the apocalypse. In these times, even a packet of instant noodles is a luxury, not to mention fresh food. And in his dimensional storage, time is frozen. Food remains fresh no matter how long it is kept. He started crying, overwhelmed by the thought, finally, he doesn't have to eat dirt in the apocalypse like he did in his previous life. After regaining composure, he opened his inventory to check the supplies he had harvested this time. Having collected so many resources, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. However, his peace was short-lived as other people arrived at the warehouse to move the goods out, but were shocked to find it empty. They questioned Chen about where all the supplies were. Chen didn't give it a second thought, saying that he took everything. The manager was puzzled and wondered how Chen had managed this. However, catching Chen was not his top priority, so he ordered his team to apprehend him. Meanwhile, Chen opened his dimensional door and stepped inside, mocking his manager by saying he wouldn't be late anymore. Everyone was shocked and puzzled about where Chen had disappeared to. Outside the building, Chen utilized his second ability, space jump. With this power, he could teleport within a 3-meter radius. This ability was invaluable in the apocalypse, allowing him to enter abandoned buildings for supplies and escape safely, even when confronted by mutant beasts. Declaring his job done and his zero-cost shopping mission complete, Chen prepared for the apocalypse with these newfound resources. Just then, his phone rang. The notification stated that the Earth was experiencing intense geological movements and localized natural disasters were likely, but these were manageable and should not affect daily life. The message urged people not to panic excessively. However, Chen knew better that the official statement was just to prevent panic, but he was aware that the end was near. His phone rang again, this time displaying his girlfriend Jiang Zioqian, who had betrayed him in the previous apocalyptic world. Despite his anger at seeing her name, Chen calmed himself and answered the call. She accused him of dishonor without her knowledge. "Do you think you can find a woman willing to be with you after selling the house? What about your responsibility as a man?" she challenged. Despite her claims of indifference towards the house, she insisted that giving her the house as a gift was the only way she could feel secure with him. Chen, however, remained unmoved by her demands. He asked her if she had anything else to say. Upon hearing this, Jiang Zioqian became very angry and snapped at Chen. "What's your attitude? I'll give you another chance. Come back now and transfer the ownership to me, or don't even think about marrying me." But Chen didn't care. He told her he was on his way back to Xanadu and they would talk when he got back. He was really angry. In his previous life, they had spent 5 years in the apocalypse. He had searched everywhere for supplies to feed her and even brought her into a safe zone. If it weren't for him, she would have starved to death during the apocalypse. Yet, she betrayed him and killed him. Not just that, she slept with someone else in front of him, blaming him, saying his death was because he was incompetent. He felt deeply wronged in his past life. He had actually entrusted his trust and life to such a person. But this time, both Wang Haoyu and Jiang Zioqian would pay the price. He made up his mind. He wouldn't kill them easily. He wanted them to experience the pain he had endured. 100, 1,000 times over. However, he calmed himself down, thinking about the future. He couldn't steal everything. The remaining things could only be bought with money. But first, he needed to figure out how to get the money. So he called manager Lu, accepting his offer to sell his house at half price. But he wanted cash. And he wanted it now. Sometime later, in front of Dream Real Estate, Chen's girlfriend Jiang Zioqian and Wang Haoyu were waiting for him. When Chen got out of the taxi, Jiang Zioqian told him that she had been waiting for him for quite a while. However, Chen didn't care about her and told her to move aside. But Wang Haoyu interrupted Chen, demanding, "Who let you sell the house? Dare to sell my house. And I'll make sure you won't see the sun tomorrow." Wang Haoyu tried to threaten Chen. However, Chen didn't care. He grabbed Wang Haoyu by the neck and lifted him into the air, then threw him forcefully to the ground. He warned Wang Haoyu that he could handle his affairs however he wanted. Jiang Zioqian asked Chen, "What are you doing?" and pleaded with him to let her brother go as she started shouting for help. However, Chen didn't care and slapped her, leaving Jiang Zioqian in shock, wondering how he could do such a thing. Meanwhile, Wang Haoyu begged for forgiveness, asking Chen to let him go. Chen, seeing him in this state, started smiling and said, "Don't worry, you won't die too quickly." He then released him and went into the building. After that, Jiang Zioqian checked on Wang Haoyu and demanded that Chen kneel down and apologize to him quickly. Otherwise, he could forget about marrying her in this lifetime. When Chen turned his head toward them, they became terrified and started running, threatening Chen that they would get revenge for what he did to them. However, in Chen's eyes, they were just worthless. Inside the Dream Real Estate building, the manager told Chen that he would buy his house and pay him in cash. For the manager, it was the best deal, a house worth over $1 million, and this foolish guy was selling it for $700,000. He could make a profit of several $100,000 with a quick turnaround. Chen agreed, but on the condition that the manager made the full payment today. The manager agreed and suggested they sign the contract and transfer the money immediately, with the transfer of ownership to be completed the following Monday. Su Chen agreed, knowing that in the apocalypse, you could choose any house you liked, as long as you dared to live in it. After receiving his payment, he left Dream Real Estate. Although various disasters were occurring, life in Xanadu, located in the inland Central Plains, was still orderly due to its distance from earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions, plus the officials' efforts to debunk any chaos. But suddenly, he noticed an advertisement for a high-interest loan. So he called the number asking if this was the loan company and if he could mortgage his property with a property certificate. They agreed and asked him to come to Hanhai International. Later, Su Chen reached Great Sea Loans Limited Company to secure a quick loan. However, the value of Su Chen's house seemed not to be much. Su Chen then asked how much he could borrow. But upon seeing the representative, Su Chen remembered that this man was Wang Haoyu's older brother, Wang Dihai, who had died in the mouths of mutant beasts in the previous life. Wang Dihai stated that he could buy the house for at most 500,000, but he would need to keep the property certificate first. However, Su Chen didn't agree, demanding an additional 100,000 and he wanted it immediately. He reassured Wang Dihai that he didn't need to worry, as he would make a profit from this deal and pay him back immediately. Upon hearing this, Wang Dihai wondered if Su Chen was a gambler. Nonetheless, he didn't care. As long as he was involved, he was willing to do anything for a profit, even sell his own parents. He considered whether Su Chen was foolish, thinking he could turn things around in a single day. Wang Dihai replied that as long as he mortgaged the property certificate with the company, everything else was negotiable. He then transferred 600,000 yuan into Su Chen's account. Meanwhile, outside the building, Zhang Xiaoqian justified her actions, saying she was just taking back her own house and questioned what was wrong with that. She was outraged that Su Chen had laid hands on her and insisted he must pay the price. Wang Haoyu also expressed a desire to kill Su Chen and mentioned getting his big brother to do it. Suddenly noticing Su Chen, Zhang Xiaoqian pointed him out to Wang Haoyu, asking if that was him. Wang Haoyu confirmed it was, and expressed curiosity about what Su Chen was doing there. Zhang Xiaoqian suggested they follow him to see what he had been up to these days. Sometime later, Su Chen reached the Green City Hotel. In his memory, many commercial buildings had collapsed under the impact of seawater backflow and rapid freezing and severe cold. But the Green City Hotel had withstood various natural disasters until the end. He heard the presidential suite was well equipped, even featuring a swimming pool, and thought it might be a good idea to use this place as a base. Living here for a long time wouldn't be bad. Although many warehouses had been emptied before, there was no shortage of hot meals and ingredients. Suddenly, a beautiful woman approached Su Chen, introducing herself as the hotel restaurant manager, Lu Xinrui, and asked how she could assist him. Su Chen replied that he wanted to order 1,000 tables for a banquet and inquired if they could accommodate that. Manager Lu was shocked after hearing such a large number of orders but managed to control her expression and confirmed they could. She explained they had options for 5,000 per table, 10,000 per table, and even 30,000 to 100,000 per table, and asked Su Chen which option he wanted to order. Curious and impressed by his grand demeanor, she wondered if this young man might actually be a hidden second-generation rich. Su Chen responded, then let it be 10,000 per table, totaling 10 million. He agreed to pay a 50,000 deposit and asked for the delivery to the address he provided, with the balance to be settled a week later. However, he wondered if the Green City Hotel met such high standards. Manager Lu became nervous after hearing about the 50,000 deposit since just the cost of ingredients was estimated to be 50,000, but she knew connecting with wealthy clients was worthwhile. The most important thing in business is to learn to adapt, she thought. So she agreed and asked Su Chen to make the payment there. Afterward, Manager Lu asked him how she should address him. Su Chen replied that she could call him by his name. Curious, Manager Lu asked if he was getting married. Su Chen confirmed it was for his wedding and also asked her to help him book a presidential suite. After completing his tasks, he left the hotel feeling elated, having settled a 10 million worth of dishes with just a 50,000 deposit and the final payment. In the scorching post-apocalyptic world, a block of ice could be worth billions. Inside the hotel, Manager Lu speculated if this was a booking for a honeymoon. She mused that whoever was marrying him was truly fortunate. Zhang Xiaoqian and Wang Haoyu, listening from behind the door, approached Manager Lu and asked about the person who had just been there. When Manager Lu inquired who they were, Zhang Xiaoqian explained that she was Su Chen's girlfriend. Manager Lu revealed that her boyfriend had ordered a banquet for 1,000 tables and paid a 50,000 deposit, remarking, "Having a boyfriend like him, you're truly fortunate." Surprised, Manager Lu thought. Despite Zhang Xiaoqian being only a 7 at best, her temperament surpassed even her own. Why do wealthy people always like these types, she wondered. Upon hearing this, Zhang Xiaoqian and Wang Haoyu were shocked, questioning whether Su Chen really had the money for a 10 million banquet. Manager Lu explained that wealthy people often play the game of hiding their identity, fearing their partners might be after their money and usually reveal it only on the day of the wedding. Zhang Xiaoqian then asked if, before getting married, they might suddenly resort to emotional withdrawal and coldness. Wang Haoyu, astonished, thought that sycophant, that Su Chen, is he really wealthy? Manager Lu affirmed, recalling the transaction of 50,000. Later, outside of the hotel, Wang Haoyu asked Zhang Xiaoqian about the guest list for a 1,000-table banquet at a 5-star hotel. Zhang Xiaoqian laughed, saying, "Don't you get it? Of course, he wants to introduce me to their wealthy circle and then reveal his identity." Wang Haoyu came close to Zhang Xiaoqian and asked her what they should do now. She explained that they needed to take the initiative and create opportunities for this bootlicker. She started to feel really happy, thinking she had never imagined such a scenario in her life. Unexpectedly, it had to happen with Su Chen, that bootlicker. Meanwhile, Su Chen, at his home, thought about his finances. Selling the house for 700,000, taking out a high-interest loan of 600,000 and spending 500,000 on the banquet. But during his zero-cost shopping spree, many essential items were not acquired.